The voice in the dust, under the broken sky of a dead colony. A human scavenger named Leo moved through dust and silence, looking for anything useful. The air was dry. The buildings were in ruins and machines lay in pieces like dead bodies. He was not here to help. He was here to find parts and sell them back on Earth. Life had become like that ever since the war between humans and the alien races tore everything apart. Leo kicked a metal plate aside and bent down to check a damaged power core. Suddenly he stopped, his body frozen. His ears picked up a sound, something soft, something alive. It was not a machine, it was a voice, a weak whisper. "Please help me. I haven't eaten in 15 days. The voice was not human. It was strange, but soft, filled with pain and desperation. Leo stood slowly, his heart began to beat faster. He pulled out his plasma knife and followed the voice, moving carefully between the rubble and crushed vehicles. Every step made him more nervous. He was not a soldier, just a man trying to survive the agony. The voice came. "Please help me." Leo turned a corner and stopped, his breath caught in his throat. What he saw made his hands shake. In front of him was a creature, thin like a skeleton, her skin a pale silver with soft lines glowing weakly across her arms. She looked more dead than alive, her arms wrapped around something, a small bundle that didn't move at first, but then gave a faint cry. It was a baby. She looked up at Leo, her eyes huge, full of fear and hope. She didn't try to attack, she didn't even move, just kept whispering, "Please, I'm not a soldier, I'm just a mother." Leo didn't speak, he just stared, his mind spinning. Every human rule told him to leave her. Aliens had caused this war, aliens had killed millions. But this one was crying for help, and her child was crying too, weakly fading. He walked closer slowly. She flinched but did not run. He knelt beside her. She was shivering from hunger and cold, her baby barely alive. He reached into his pack and pulled out a nutrient bar, broke it into small pieces, and handed them to her. She took them with shaking hands and fed the baby first, not herself. Leo saw tears fall from her eyes as she did. "Why haven't you eaten?" Leo asked. She looked down and said, "The baby is more important." Leo stood up, his mind still unsure of what he was doing. He looked around, saw no other signs of life, then said, "Can you walk?" She nodded barely. He helped her up, gently lifting the baby in one arm, her in the other, and started walking back toward his hidden camp. As they moved through the ruins, Leo kept checking the sky. Drones sometimes flew low, scanning for signs of movement, not to rescue, to eliminate survivors. No one wanted aliens left alive, not after the war, but Leo couldn't leave her. He didn't understand why. Maybe it was the way she fed the child first. Maybe it was the sound of her voice full of pain. Maybe he just couldn't let another life die in front of him. They reached the edge of the ruins. As the sun dipped low, the red sky burning over black metal and twisted walls. His camp was not far now, a small underground shelter hidden beneath a fallen satellite dish inside. It was cold and dark, but safe for now. Leo placed her gently on a soft pile of old blankets. He gave her water and more food. She took it slowly, carefully feeding the baby again before herself. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked at him with tired eyes. "Zara." "And yours?" Leo, he replied. Then silence. They both sat there. The only sound, the quiet breathing of the baby. Zara closed her eyes for a moment, then said thank you softly, like she didn't believe kindness was real anymore. Leo didn't answer. He just sat beside her, staring at the floor. Something had changed inside him. He had come here for parts, for tech, but found something else, something he never expected in a war full of hate and blood. He had found a mother, a child, and a voice in the dust that he could not ignore, and in that quiet, broken shelter. As the wind howled above, Leo felt something deep in his chest, a weight he had never known before. Not fear, not regret, but something almost forgotten, hope. Leo didn't sleep that night. He sat beside Zara and her baby, watching every breath. Took the baby's chest, moved slowly, but each time it rose and fell, Leo felt a little calmer. Zara's arms stayed wrapped around the child, like she feared the world might steal him away if she let go even for 1 second. Outside, the wind screamed across the dead colony like ghosts still trapped in the rubble. But inside that small dark shelter, it was quiet and warm, and something strange hung in the air, something Leo hadn't felt in years. Morning came without light, only the soft blue glow from Zara's skin gently lit the shelter her kind had. Bio-light built into their bodies for night vision. Leo remembered reading that in some old training manual back when humans were taught how to kill her species fast and without mercy. He watched her as she stirred awake, her eyes opened slowly, and met his no fear this time, just quiet curiosity. "You still want to leave?" Leo asked, his voice low. She looked down at her baby, then shook her head slowly. "I can't walk far, my legs there." Too weak. He noticed how thin she was, her arms like dry branches, her bones pressing through her skin. She wouldn't last another day out there, not with the patrols sweeping the ruins. Every few hours Leo stood and checked the scanner in his bag. A cheap handheld device built from scraps, but it worked just enough. Blips showed moving objects nearby, two of them, probably other scavengers. Maybe soldiers, maybe worse. He had to act fast. If they found Zara, she'd be executed, no questions asked. And he'd be thrown into a prison ship, or worsey. "They'll go find food and medicine, you stay hidden." Leo said. She looked nervous, but nodded. He left, quickly covering the entrance with broken metal and dust to hide the entrance. Again the wind pushed against him, but he moved fast through streets he'd walked 100 times before he knew where the old medical drones crashed and where food storage pods sometimes remained sealed. He just needed luck and a little time. As he reached the edge of the industrial zone, he saw something that made him stop cold. Two humans in full combat suits standing over a body. It was another alien, a young girl, thin, like Zara, probably searching for food. One of the soldiers laughed and kicked her side. Even though she was clearly dead, Leo's stomach turned, but he said nothing and moved quietly around them, careful not to draw attention. He had to stay alive if he wanted to protect Zara. He found what he needed in the next block, an emergency pack. Still untouched, hidden inside a fallen transport, he grabbed nutrient bars, clean water and a small medical kit, then ran back toward the shelter, trying not to look back as gunfire echoed behind him. Someone else wasn't so lucky today. When he returned, Zara looked up, her eyes wide with fear, but when she saw it was him, she relaxed. She smiled weakly, and it hit Leo like a knife. No alien had ever smiled at him like that before, not even when he saved them during the war. Her smile wasn't fear or manipulation, it was real, honest gratitude. He gave her the food, and she fed the baby again, then ate just a little herself, like she was still unsure if she deserved more. He opened the med kit and cleaned the baby's skin, rubbed healing gel onto tiny wounds, and wrapped Zara's weak ankle with support tape. She winced but didn't complain. "Not once. Our risking everything," Zara whispered. "Why?" Leo paused, then said, "I don't know. Maybe I'm tired of watching good people die. Maybe I just don't care about the rules anymore. Maybe you remind me of someone I lost." Zara didn't ask more. She just nodded and leaned her head back against the wall, her eyes closing slowly. For the first time in days, she slept without fear. Leo sat down beside her again, staring at the scanner's blinking screen. The blips were moving farther now, the soldiers leaving the zone, but they'd be back. They always came back like wolves, sniffing out the last pieces of life in a dying world. He thought about leaving with her, moving across the wastelands toward the old farms, where some humans and aliens secretly lived together, far from the eyes of the War Council. But getting there would be dangerous, especially with a baby and an injured mother. And no help. Still, something inside him pushed against the fear, a voice that refused to be quiet. Not anymore. It told him this wasn't about survival anymore. This was about doing the right thing, no matter the cost. He looked at Zara again, her soft breathing calm, her baby curled into her arms, and for the first time in a long time, Leo believed that maybe, just maybe, a better future could still be built from the ruins. And maybe it all began with helping just one alien who cried out in the dust. The sun never truly rose in the ruined colony, but a pale light crept through cracks in the metal ceiling above them. Zara stirred first, her hands still holding the baby. Gently the child was breathing stronger, now a little color returning to his cheeks. Leo watched quietly from the far corner of the shelter, his eyes heavy with sleep, but his mind alert. The scanner on his lap buzzed once, then went silent. Something had passed nearby, but not close enough to worry just yet. Zara looked around. Slowly then whispered, "Your world is cruel." Leo, her voice was soft, but the words carried weight. Leo didn't answer right away. He simply handed her a warm drink from the heating pack. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. She took it, and drank slowly, then said again, "I don't blame you, not you." He turned his eyes to her, confused why not. She looked down at the baby, then at him. "Because you came back." Leo didn't know what to say. Kindness had become a rare currency since the war. People didn't trust others anymore, especially not those from another species. But he wasn't trying to be kind, not in the beginning, at least maybe. Now something had changed. Maybe seeing Zara suffer had cracked open a part of his soul he had buried long ago. "We can't stay here," Leo said finally. "Patrols are increasing, and scavengers will come soon. Some shoot first, some trade, but most won't spare an alien." He pulled out a small paper map, crumpled and torn, but still useful, pointing to a spot far away across the old mining fields, an abandoned farming dome. "If we make it there, we might find safety." Zara looked at the map, then at her child, and asked, "Can we make it?" Leo nodded. "I've been there once. It's hard, but not impossible." She didn't argue. She simply started preparing to leave, wrapping the baby in warm cloth, tearing strips from her old robe. Leo admired her strength, how she didn't complain even with pain in her eyes. She moved like a soldier, like a mother who refused to die. Before her child was safe, they left just before noon, moving fast through broken alleys and rusted tunnels. Every sound made Leo grip his weapon tighter. A falling pipe, a distant howl, a wind that sounded too much like a scream. Zara kept low, her steps careful, her eyes scanning like a trained scout. Leo noticed how her body responded to danger, like she had seen battle before. "Were you military?" Leo asked. She hesitated, then said, "No, but I trained with the diplomats. Our kind believed in peace until the bombs fell." She paused, and her voice broke. "My husband, he died, trying to protect me from your people. I wanted to hate humans after that, but then you came." Leo felt something twist inside his chest, guilt heavy and sharp. He had not dropped those bombs, but his people had, and now here he was guiding the wife of a murdered alien through the ashes of what was once her home. He didn't know if he could ever wash that kind of blood from his hands. By nightfall, they reached a narrow ravine, the ground unstable with sharp stones and deep cracks. One wrong step could mean death. They moved slowly, Leo helping Zara across with one hand while holding the baby close with the other. Halfway through, the scanner in his pocket blinked red again. Movement close, fast. He looked up and saw two lights in the sky, descending drones. Zara said, eyes wide with fear. Leo grabbed her arm. "We run now, no time for quiet." They sprinted across the rest of the ravine just as the first drone hit the edge. Scanners lighting up the rocks below, targeting patterns, searching for heat signatures. They dove into a broken pipeline and crawled through its dark belly, water dripping, metal echoing. The child whimpered. Zara kissed his forehead, whispering calming sounds from her language. Minutes passed, then silence. The drones left, unable to locate them. Leo exhaled slowly and looked at Zara, covered in dirt, shaking, but still holding the baby tight. "We're alive," he said. She nodded barely. They reached the outer edge of the farming dome after midnight, its thick glass cracked, but still standing. Crops inside, glowing faintly under synthetic lights. Automated systems still trying to do their job after all these years. Leo broke through the side entrance, and they slipped in together, collapsing on the soft earth among rows of overgrown plants. The baby reached out, touching a glowing vine, cooing for the first time. Zara cried, but didn't speak. Leo sat beside her, exhausted, cold, but alive. He looked around the dome, quiet and full of forgotten life. Maybe this place could be their home. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something new, not built on war, but survival and strange kindness in a world that had forgotten both. Inside the old farming dome, warmth returned slowly, the artificial system still alive, humming in the walls like a heartbeat from the past. Zara sat near a small crop bed, holding her baby, while Leo searched for anything useful. The air was thicker here. The plants had kept the oxygen flowing. The soil was still soft and full of life, despite the war that had killed everything outside. This place felt untouched, like nature had held its breath, waiting for someone to return. Leo found a storage unit half buried, Under fallen tools and vines he forced it open, and smiled inside were old seed packs, nutrient blocks and emergency lights. Some were spoiled, but others still worked, he called. Zara over she stood carefully, her legs stronger now, but not healed. Yet she looked into the box, then at him, her eyes wide. This could feed us for weeks, maybe longer if we ration. Leo nodded. It's enough to survive at least until we figure out what's next. They set up a small space in the center of the dome using overturned crates and old blankets to make beds. Leo fixed a light and placed it above them, casting a gentle glow. Zara finally allowed herself to lie down fully, and her baby slept peacefully on her chest for the first time since Leo found them. They were safe, but safety never lasted long, not in times like these. The next morning, Leo was checking the perimeter when he saw something in the distance, smoke rising from the east. It wasn't natural. Someone was nearby. Maybe scavengers, maybe soldiers. He returned to the dome fast, his face tense. We're not alone, he said. Zara looked at him with fear, but didn't panic. Instead, she stood and said, "Then we prepare." Leo gave her a weapon, a small blaster he had carried since the start of the war. It wasn't powerful, but it was enough to scare off a threat. Zara held it like she knew how to use it, her hands steady, her eyes hard. He watched her and realized again that she wasn't weak, she was just tired, and now she had a reason to fight again. They waited quietly that night, watching from behind old equipment. The baby slept between them, wrapped in soft cloth. Every sound made Leo grip his weapon tighter. A crunch of leaves, a distant footstep, a voice carried on the wind. He held his breath, but no one came, not yet. In the silence, Zara spoke, her voice low. "I was supposed to die," she said. "When they found us, they killed everyone, even the children. I don't know why they left me. Maybe they thought I'd starve. Maybe they wanted me to suffer." Leo listened without speaking. She continued, "I begged for mercy. They gave me none, but you did, and you're supposed to be my enemy." Leo finally said, "Maybe we're all just people. Now no sides, no armies, just survivors trying to do what's right." The next morning they were awakened by noise outside the dome, movement, fast and sharp. Leo rushed to the scanner, blinking red, multiple signals. Zara grabbed the baby and backed into the crops. Leo took position behind the broken glass entrance, peeking through the vines. 3 figures emerged, all human, geared in old combat armor, but their weapons were low. They looked tired, hungry, and unsure. Leo stepped out slowly, raising a hand in peace. They froze, then one of them spoke. "You're human, why are you hiding here?" Leo replied, "I'm not hiding, I'm protecting the one behind me." "Is she with you?" the soldier asked, eyes narrowing. Leo nodded. "She has a child, she's not a threat." The 3 men looked at each other. One finally said, "We're not here to fight, we just need food, water. We've been running for days." Leo paused, then motioned them in cautiously. They entered slowly, eyes scanning the dome, seeing Zara and her child. One of them looked uneasy but said nothing. Leo shared the food carefully, keeping one hand near his weapon. Zara stayed silent, but didn't hide her face. Later that evening, one of the soldiers approached Leo while the others slept. "I saw what happened in Sector 9, he said quietly. "We killed too fast civilians, not soldiers. I tried to stop it, got thrown out, left to die. Maybe we all deserve to starve." Leo looked at him, then at Zara, holding her baby under the soft dome light. "Maybe, but if we keep choosing hate, then no one survives." That night the 5 of them shared the dome, a human, a mother, her child, and 2 broken soldiers, surrounded by old crops and soft earth for the first time in a long time. The war was outside, and inside there was only life trying to begin again. Morning broke gently over the farming dome, filtered through layers of cracked glass and thick leaves. The soft hum of the life support system gave the place a strange peace. Leo woke first, sitting near the dome's edge, his weapon resting on his lap. The 2 human soldiers slept close by, wrapped in old tarp. Their faces looked younger, and sleep, like war, had aged them faster than time. Zara was already awake, holding her child and whispering quiet songs in a language Leo didn't understand, but somehow felt in his chest like a lullaby for a world that had forgotten how to rest. He joined her without speaking and watched the baby open his eyes for the first time without fear or crying. Zara smiled gently, a tired but real smile, one That made Leo's heart ache, she said softly. He has not cried once since you brought us here. Perhaps he knows we are finally safe. Leo wanted to believe her, but the worry in his gut wouldn't. Later that day, the soldiers helped gather food and patch small leaks in the dome walls. None of them spoke much, but their actions were steady, respectful. When one of them dropped a piece of old armor, Zara flinched slightly. Leo noticed and quietly asked her, "Are you all right?" She looked away and said softly, "That sound, it reminds me of the last day I saw my husband. He stood between me and a squad of human troopers tried to reason with them. I still see his face every time I hear metal fall." Leo nodded slowly, guilt rising again. He didn't know how to fix the past, but he could protect the present, so he gave her a simple promise. "Not all humans want war. Some of us just got pulled into it like you did." That evening the group sat together, sharing one of the remaining heat packs around a flickering emergency light. Zara asked one of the soldiers, "What made you stop fighting?" He paused, then answered, "The orders kept getting worse. They told us to destroy entire towns, not just soldiers, children too. I couldn't do it anymore, so I left, ran before they could shoot me for disobeying." The other soldier added, "We were just boys when it started. They trained us to shoot, not to think." Zara listened carefully, then said, "My people believed in unity. We had no word for enemy until humans brought it. Now I wonder if unity was just a dream." Leo looked up and replied, "Maybe it still is, but dreams are where better futures start." Suddenly, the scanner buzzed, a red flash, pulsing fast, multiple signals, approaching fast and from above. Drones again, but this time not alone. Leo grabbed his rifle, and the others followed. They moved into defense positions. But Leo turned to Zara, "Take the child and hide deep in the crop beds. We'll hold them off." She didn't argue. She ran with her child, disappearing into the plants like a shadow. The others readied their weapons as 3 drones appeared at the broken top of the dome, followed by 4 soldiers in fresh gear. Not scavengers, but enforcers, the kind that followed brutal orders without question. One of the enforcers shouted, "Drop your weapons. This area is restricted. Unauthorized lifeforms will be terminated." Leo shouted back, "No one here is armed, except us. There's a child here." The enforcers moved in without mercy, their guns lighting up the dome. The battle was fast and brutal. Leo fired from behind a steel beam, hitting one in the leg, while one of the old soldiers tackled another. Drones fired stun blasts, setting crops on fire, turning soft green life into smoke. Leo took a hit in the shoulder, but stayed up. He had to protect them. He had to be the wall between hate and hope. He moved across the field, shooting twice more before ducking behind cover. When it ended, the dome was quiet again. 3 enforcers down, 1 fled. The drones disabled, but the cost was clear. One of the old soldiers lay still, a burn across his chest. Leo crawled to him, held his hand as he whispered, "Thank you," then stopped breathing. Zara emerged slowly, her child in her arms, her eyes wide with horror, but no tears, just silence. Leo stood despite the pain, blood soaking his side. He looked at her and said, "I told you I would protect you, and I will no matter what." She walked to him and placed her hand on his cheek, her skin warm despite the cold in the dome, and for a moment, the pain faded, not gone but forgotten in the presence of something stronger than fear. A bond had formed, not between species, not between enemies, but between survivors who chose to keep each other alive. The dome was quiet again, but it was a silence built on loss. The air carried the scent of smoke and scorched plants. The crops that once gave them hope now lay half-burned under shattered glass. Leo sat on the ground, his arm pressed to his bleeding side, but he refused to lie down. Zara knelt beside him, her baby held close, her hands trembling as she tore cloth into strips and wrapped them around his wound. "You should rest," Zara whispered, her voice raw. Leo shook his head. "Not yet. They'll be back, maybe with more. This was just a scout team." Zara's face hardened. "Then we have to leave this place. It's no longer safe." Leo agreed, but he knew travel would be harder now. His injury slowed him. The baby still needed warmth and clean water, and the road beyond the dome stretched into deserts filled with broken cities and death. That night the remaining soldier, Kellen, helped build a small barricade around the sleeping area using broken metal and crates. He didn't talk much, just worked like a man, trying to pay off a debt he could never erase later. As he sat by the emergency light, he looked at Zara and said, "I used to believe in the war. I thought we were saving humanity. Now I think we just lost ourselves." It didn't answer, but her eyes met his and something unspoken passed between them. Not forgiveness, but a kind of understanding. Leo watched this exchange and felt the weight of everything they had lived through pressing down on his chest. Yet he also felt something else growing beneath it, something new and fragile. The next day, Leo found a communication tower half buried outside. The dome, its wires snapped and console rusted, but its core intact. With Zara's help, they dragged it inside and began repairs. She moved with surprising skill, her fingers fast and sure as she rewired the panel. "You know tech, Leo?" asked Zara, smiled weakly. "I was a translator, but before that I built signal relays for my people. It was peaceful work before everything burned." Leo nodded. "We can use that piece right now." By the second night, they powered it up using energy from the dome's solar panels. The screen flickered to life. Zara adjusted frequencies while Leo typed a message across the stars. It wasn't a call for help, it was a call for truth, a message to anyone, human or alien, who might still believe in compassion. "This is Leo Harker. I am human. I saved an alien mother and her child because no one else would. They are not enemies. They are survivors like me. If you hear this, please know we are not all monsters. Some of us still remember how to care." They sent the message, then waited every hour. Zara checked the scanner every night. Leo listened for the sound of engines or boots outside the dome, but nothing came. Until the third morning, a signal buzzed across the tower, not from Earth, but from a human ship somewhere beyond the sector. The message was short: "We hear you. Coordinates received. Help coming. Stand by." Leo looked at Zara, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Are they real?" she asked, her voice shaking. Leo nodded. "I think they are. Maybe some humans still have heart. But with hope came danger. If the enforcers intercepted the message, they would return in greater force, and this time they wouldn't hesitate." Leo gathered supplies with Kellen, storing water, food, weapons, anything they could carry. Zara packed soft cloth for the baby and wrapped him in thick fabric against the cold. That night a drone flew past the dome, but did not stop. Perhaps it missed them, or perhaps it had already marked their location. Leo watched it disappear into the sky, his heart pounding. "We leave at dawn," he said. Zara agreed. No fear, just quiet strength. Before the sun rose, they moved out across the dead fields, carrying everything they had. Zara walked close to Leo, her baby held tight. Kellen led from the front, scanning the horizon. After hours of walking, they reached an old fuel station, buried under sand and metal. Leo stopped suddenly, holding his hand up. He pointed to the sky. A ship was coming fast, low engines whispering through the air. Not military, not enforcer. It was marked with an old Earth rescue emblem, faded, but still visible. The ship landed, and a ramp extended. 2 humans stepped out. No armor, no weapons, just simple clothes and open hands. Leo lowered his weapon, and Zara stepped forward, holding her baby tightly. The rescuers looked stunned. One whispered, "She's real, and the child too." They led the group aboard. No questions, just warm blankets, clean water, and a promise, "You're safe now." As the ship rose above the ruins, Leo looked down one last time at the dome that had become their shelter, then forward toward the stars, where a second chance waited. He turned to Zara and saw peace in her eyes. For the first time, the rescue ship moved through the sky with a quiet hum, cutting across the black clouds and leaving the broken colony far behind. Inside the cabin, Leo sat near a window, his arm freshly bandaged, warmth around him, but his eyes focused on Zara. She sat across from him, her baby sleeping in her arms, her head resting lightly against the seat. The soft rise and fall of her breath matched the motion of the ship, steady, calm, real. For the first time in weeks, they were no longer hiding, no longer running. The crew treated them kindly, offering food, clean clothes, and gentle words. But more than kindness, they gave something else, something Leo had almost forgotten existed: dignity. No one asked Zara what she was, no one questioned the child's Right to live, they were simply seen as people, and for that Leo felt something deep in his chest begin to heal hours. Passed as they flew through orbit. Then the ship entered a new sector, green lights blinking over the console. One of the crew turned to Leo and said, "We're approaching Haven Station. It's small but safe, mostly civilians, former soldiers, people who refuse to keep fighting." Leo nodded quietly, unsure what to expect. Zara looked at him, her eyes full of silent questions. He gave her a small nod as if to say it's all right, even if he didn't know for sure. When they landed, Haven Station was nothing like Leo imagined. It wasn't a base or a prison. It was a living space full of color, small shops, laughing children, even aliens walking freely among humans. No guns, no shouting, just life going on like the war had never touched this place. A tall woman in a silver coat approached them, her hair streaked with gray, her eyes sharp and kind. "I'm Commander Riva," she said. "Welcome to Haven. We received your message, and we're ready to help whatever you need." Zara clutched her child a little tighter and asked quietly, "Even for us?" Riva nodded. "Especially for you." They were given a room with soft beds, a shower, clean water. Zara stepped inside slowly, as if afraid it was a dream. Leo helped her settle the baby down, then stood at the door, unsure whether to leave or stay. Zara looked back at him, her voice soft. "Please stay for now." He nodded and sat on the edge of the second bed, feeling the weight of everything finally begin to lift. Days passed, and their lives slowly began to return to something like normal. Zara helped in the station's nursery, where her knowledge of alien medicine was welcomed. Leo worked with the engineering crew, repairing systems damaged by old battles, and each night they returned to the same room, where silence was no longer filled with fear, but with peace. One evening, Zara stood beside Leo on the viewing deck. Stars spread before them like silver dust. Her voice broke the quiet softly. "I never thought I would see stars again, not without running, not without hiding." Leo looked at her, then at the stars. "They won't take this from us, not again." But peace never came without a price. News spread fast across the systems. Someone had leaked Leo's message. It reached Earth, and the reaction was mixed. Some praised him for saving a mother and her child. Others called him a traitor. War leaders demanded his return, wanted him tried for helping the enemy. Commander Riva gathered the council at Haven. They offered Leo protection, asylum, Zara too, but Leo stood tall and said, "If I hide now, it means they win. It means kindness is weakness, and I won't let that message spread." Instead, he asked to speak directly to Earth through Haven's broadcast system. The day of the message came, and Leo stood before the camera, Zara by his side, the child in her arms. He spoke clearly into the lens, his voice calm and strong. "My name is Leo Harker. I am a human. I saved a mother and her child, not because I had to, but because it was right. They are not enemies. They are survivors just like us. And if that is treason, then I accept it." The message went viral across Earth and beyond. Protests rose. Movements formed. Humans who had lost everything found hope in his words. Even some soldiers turned away from the war. Zara's face became a symbol of quiet strength, her child of the future that could be Leo, of the courage to change. Months later, Earth agreed to ceasefire talks. Haven Station was named a neutral ground, and Zara was invited to join the peace delegation, not as a victim, but as a voice of unity. Leo walked beside her, holding the child, not by blood, but by bond. And as they entered the great hall filled with leaders and old enemies, they stood not as symbols, not as tools of propaganda, but as proof that sometimes all it takes to change a world is one choice. That choice began the day a human heard a voice in the dust.